Hi, welcome back to PÖFF TV. My name is Johanna Kristina and we're here right in the heart of the Black Nights Film Festival. Today we have really talented director here behind the Book of Everything film. So let's give a big welcome to Ineke Houtman.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome. How are you?
I'm fine. I actually had a swim this morning in the Baltic Sea.
Yeah. Do you like this cold swimming?
I never do it, but
Did you enjoy?
I loved it. Yeah.
Okay.
It really is invigorating. You feel very fresh afterwards.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, but I wanted to ask, what inspired you to create this kind of movie? Was it some personal experience or some events that happened that inspired you, or where this idea came from?
Yeah, the film is set in the 60s, and this was a time that I grew up. And my father would sometimes correct me when he thought it was necessary by what we say is called the, it's sort of like a corrective slapping. But then he would, it was quite humiliating because I had to go over his knee and then he would slap. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And that was like... This is what this story is like inspired from.
No, it's actually, it happened to a lot of people, what I heard at the time.
Oh, okay.
And maybe I think it happens still, but then in all cultures, all people have the same experience, like they're being hit within the family. And it wasn't really meant to be vicious, but of course it was like not nice to do.
Yeah. Totally, yeah. But what message did you want to convey with this story?
It is written by Guus Kuijer. I don't know whether you know him, but he's quite a famous writer who also won the Astrid Lindgren Prize, which is an international, very well-known prize. And he got it in, I think, in 2011, so long after the book was written. And the message, it's like difficult to say what it is in short, but I think that it's you need to talk about things instead of wanting to put your opinion across by being violent to other people, because it's easy, you know, especially in a family, because the father is stronger mostly, and also. It's not only religious, it's like anyone who wants to impose his or her opinion or on another and then really do that forcefully, I think it's terrible.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, but Thomas's character is unique and full of imagination. How did you work to express his inner world and imagination on screen?
Partly it's how the role is being done, because it's done by a young boy. He's 14-year-old actually, but he looks like he's 9 because he's so thin and small.
Yeah, and small and everything.
Yeah. And so he did very, very well. He's like the seriousness of the character, but also the joy of the character. So when I had him, it was easier to model him. And the fantasies, of course, we modeled in the whole team. Like also the cameraman was involved in it and the art director. And the fantasies are like partly biblical fantasies.
Yeah.
He goes up to the sky. You know, he wants to see God. Where is he?
And he met him also?
No, he didn't meet him. No, unfortunately. He was out.
Oh, okay.
But not only that day.
But this is like really, really fun, like a funny side of this, how to speak, like from this side of this biblical, you know, to put it in the story like this, kind of a funny way, but it's also really cool that you can imagine everything, you know.
Right, and it's an escape, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And also like a comfort zone for a child like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we do that in real life as well. We have our fantasies, right?
Totally, yeah. Of course. But the film tackles complex themes such as religious upbringing, like you said, and domestic violence. So how did you balance the depth of these issues through a child's perspective?
I didn't get the last part of the question.
Okay, how did you balance the depth of these issues through a child's perspective? Like this deep, this is like a really deep topic. This violence and and this religious upbringing. It's like a really deep thing. So how did you put these deep themes on a child? Like, how did you tell this story through this child perspective?
Partly it's the book, of course, because the book is already written. So we used a lot of what was in the book already. And
but how did you put that on the screen? Like this emotion?
That's a complicated thing because there are so many layers in this film. So we put it on the screen through the actors, how they behave towards each other, but also the environment that the boy grows up in. It's strict. So the house of the parents looks really strict, like there is not much fun to it. And the only book there that you see is the Bible. We didn't put any other books in it, except for when the neighbor lady is giving him a book. So you can feel that the culture very slowly gets into the house because he meets other people and the times are changing. And that's how we put that into the film, I think.
But the film presents both fantasy and reality. How did you portray these two worlds visually and emotionally to create contrast?
Well, the interesting thing is that the fantasies are part of his reality. So it's not like, oh, here we get a fantasy. No, it's the fantasy is there and it's real. And Jesus, who talks with him, who comes off the wall out of the painting, she is real. And he's actually talking to Thomas, but in a very playful way. And it's like he's talking to a friend. And so what we did was, like, the fantasies were always really there and not being like fantasies. But at the end, then Jesus is leaving him again. He has been there all the time talking bullshit with him, partly, and talking nice and also some deep things. And then he leaves, and I think at the end, then Thomas can live in the real world, and he doesn't really need the fantasies anymore, although he will keep them all of his life, and he is becoming a writer with it.
Okay, really cool. But what was the most challenging scene for you to direct, and why?
The last scene when the sister of Thomas, she is getting a knife and she is threatening the father with it. And that was like a really tense scene, which we shot from many sides. I can
imagine. Oh. Yeah.
And it's like everybody in the audience is also like, like what's
standing
happening?
Still and living through that emotion.
Yeah, and that was. But sometimes the scenes that have the most dramatic tension are the easiest to film because you know what it's about. So you can point it in that direction. Everybody knows what it's about. Yeah, everybody feels it on the table where it happens.
Yeah, that's true.
So in a way, that's sometimes easier than doing a small scene that you don't really know what it's about, or you have to find the meaning of it as a director.
Yeah, but did you feel also like that you relived those emotions through the actors?
That I got, sorry?
Like, did you relive those emotions through actors also? Like, did you feel like you were part of the movie, or did you, like, it was so tense that you could feel the emotions? Or, like...
Very much, but that as a director, you have that all the time. It's also how you direct the people, like how emotional do you want it to be. I remember when we were rehearsing with Dan, who plays the father. He in the beginning he thought that he needed to sometimes make his voice real strong, like shout.
Okay.
And then I asked him not to do this because it's just much more exciting if people talk in a lower voice and don't. So that's how
it
you
can
go
be
about
threatening
this.
also, it's not like...
Sorry?
It can be threatening also if you're doing like this,
much more.
Much more, yeah. Intense, not just shouting. Shouting can be also like, I just don't listen to you.
Yeah, and because you never know what's under it.
Yeah.
Right? There's a whole world there.
Yeah.
It looks like soft voice, but there is like a lot of threats. You never know what will happen.
Yeah, totally. But what do you hope children and adults will take away from this film?
I hope the adults will realize that they are also old children, and so they should relate to the children like human beings and not be forceful with them or forcing them in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think also for both the grown-ups and the children, it is very important that what the film says, happiness starts with not being afraid anymore.
Yeah. And that's so beautiful.
And that's really beautiful. And that's something I could hang like a statement above my bed, like every morning, look at that and think, okay, no, be open, don't be scared.
That's so true. Yeah, that's really, really beautiful. But how do you view the theme of forgiveness that Thomas considers for his father? And why do you believe this is an important message for the audience?
Because otherwise you will stick in your own trauma. If you don't forgive, your own trauma will stay forever. If you forgive, it's, I think, something Buddha said, that if you take a knife, if there is a wound with a knife in it, you take the knife from it. If you just don't think about who put the knife there, then it's easier to forgive. And I think if you forgive, then there are new possibilities also for yourself.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and at the same time it's hard, because people on the whole world are working, like people at wars. How can they forgive if their family was killed? How can people forgive?
Yeah, that's true.
But you need to go on, and other people have their sufferings as well. And in the film you can see, for example, that the father doesn't mean wrong things. It's just his education. He doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
People just don't know how to do things.
He doesn't know how to do it like an other way or more like better way.
Right. He learned it in a certain way, and to get a different perspective, that's, I guess, it's difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. This conversation is also already so like deep. But thank you for that inspirational talk that we had.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've uncovered so many details about this film and about the story. And thank you for coming. And it was really nice to meet you.
Thank you, Johanna.
Yeah, thank you, Ineke. And thank you for tuning into PÖFF TV. I hope I will see you here again. So bye.